Hi, I'm Matsu Anderson. Welcome to Question and Answer. Once again, we've received an interesting bunch of questions from you, and once again, we've gone to our Q&A bench for the right people to answer them. Tonight, they're Dr. Carolyn Dean, our natural remedy doctor, and financial author Gordon Pape. Welcome, both of you. Some of the subjects we'll be covering are real estate, specifically about the condo market, as well as cold remedies, candidiasis, annuities, and vegetarian diets. Now, Carolyn, the last time you were on the show, you answered one of the questions that came in, and you made a statement that being vegetarian in Canada was difficult. Did that ever get our phone ringing? Let's take a listen.
My name is Peter McQueen. I'm president of the Toronto Vegetarian Association. Yeah, I have a comment regarding your show on Friday, November 22nd. On the show, Dr. Carolyn Dean mentioned or made the claim that vegetarianism is difficult in Canada. In other words, it's difficult to be a vegetarian in this country. And I would say nothing could be further from the truth. It is, from my experience as a vegetarian for 17 years, I think it is, and meeting vegetarians from various parts of Canada as well as the United States, I know it is certainly not difficult, and I'd be happy to discuss this further. Thank you very much.
And discuss it further we will. Peter McQueen is on the line, but first, Carolyn, your response.
Yes, Peter, thank you very much. When I only have a few minutes to answer a question, sometimes this happens. I'll get into a topic and I can't elaborate. Certainly when half the world's population is vegetarian, then it does work. Dean Ornish's recent work about heart disease being reversed by a vegetarian diet, people turning to vegetarianism, it means that people like you who are the Toronto Vegetarian Association can help support people in understanding what it means to be a vegetarian and doing it properly. I personally have tried to be vegetarian for over 10 years in the past, and it's difficult for some people to do this. Two books that I've brought today that we'll put up on the monitor. One is Diet for New America, and it really does help us understand why it is important to look at a vegetarian diet. But another book called The Diodamo Diets, it goes into different blood groups seem to need a different types of diet. And that can be because of culture or geographical. Inuits cannot be vegetarians.
Okay, well, we've got Peter on the line. Hi, Peter. Welcome to Question and Answer.
Hi, Matsu.
Hi, I'm really glad you called in. Now, I certainly would have thought it would be somewhat difficult to practice a purely vegetarian lifestyle anywhere. So, do you have a comment on that?
I certainly do. Having been vegetarian 16 years or so, I certainly wouldn't agree for myself. And knowing many vegetarians throughout North America and in other countries, I know that's not really true. I think it comes down to if you have good reasons for being vegetarian, whether they be health or other reasons, and you have the conviction to do it, I don't think it's all that difficult to do.
Okay, Carolyn, is there anything you'd like to add?
You have to work at it. It can get to be personal. Personally, I can't be vegetarian, and however, if I had a health condition that required me to be a vegetarian, I would know where to go to find the resources. So you have to work at it. It's not just a matter of avoiding anything with a face. It's a matter of really combining your grains and your vegetables and all the rest of it. And Gordon was asking me a question about what types of vegetarianism are there. I mean, there's ovo-lacto, which is eggs and milk, and vegetables and grains, etc. There are many different types. It doesn't just mean avoiding red meat.
Well, absolutely. But I think one of the important things to mention is, for people to know, is that there are a lot of resources out there, not just the book that you mentioned, but also there are groups such as my own, the Toronto Vegetarian Association, but also groups in Owen Sound area, Kitchener-Waterloo, Hamilton, Oshawa, Whitby, in Ontario. And the other thing is that there are many restaurants, both vegetarian restaurants. Toronto has 11 of them, plus other restaurants such as ethnic restaurants throughout Ontario, where vegetarian meals can easily be obtained. One interesting thing in terms of eating out, which I think people find perhaps more difficult than other aspects of vegetarianism, is that in the U.S., a recent Gallup poll commissioned by the National Restaurant Association showed that about a third of the eating out public is likely to order non-meat dishes if they are on the menu. And a further full 20% makes the availability of vegetarian main courses a criterion for choosing which restaurant to patronize. And I think we're going to see that more and more restaurants and other places are going to offer vegetarian selections. A good example is Great Britain, where now fully 16% of the population either avoids red meat or considers themselves to be vegetarian. And this has resulted in most of the restaurants in the UK, including fast food chains and even pubs, the traditional English pub, prominently offering vegetarian menu options. Also, numerous bed and breakfasts, guest houses, and hotels either have an entirely vegetarian menu or offer menu options. And it's just amazing. I was in Britain this summer, and it was amazing just to turn around everywhere you turned, and there were little health food shops and restaurants offering vegetarian items.
Peter, you've certainly opened my eyes to vegetarianism, and I'm certainly glad you brought up the subject. I'd like to thank you for calling in.
Oh, you're quite welcome.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye.
And now, Gordon, it's over to you. You know we have so many questions for you. I think we're just going to keep you right in that seat for the next couple of weeks.
Just so I get home for Christmas, okay?
We'll get you home for Christmas. Our viewers are concerned and a bit confused about all the investment options available and more, which ones to choose. So hopefully you're going to be able to clear that up for us during the show. Okay. And, of course, the real estate market is always a popular topic of discussion at dinner parties and cocktail parties. That is the nature of our first question for you. Let's take a look.
My name is Nicolas Popescu. I live in downtown Toronto. I would like to be a homeowner, but I'm more interested in apartments and houses. And my question is, what is the difference between buying a condominium and a co-op apartment?
Well, good question. And, of course, we're dealing here with an apples and oranges situation. Nicholas, what you're looking at here, first of all, on the apartment side, are really co-ops. Now, these are intended for lower-income people, and I don't know if you would qualify, but let me explain to you how they work. Essentially what happens here is that you get a group of people coming together, they form a board, they acquire a building, they get low-cost financing. They get a 50-year loan from CMHC at 6%. They form a co-op association. Now, to get into the building, you then have to buy a share in the co-op. You have to be approved by the board. You receive your unit to live in, but you don't own it. You only own a share in the total building. Now, what happens then is that if, for example, the situation develops that somebody doesn't pay the full amount of their mortgage or whatever, then the co-op has to share in the whole cost of it. Again, you have to have a low income to get into these. So they're really for a very specific type of person. Now, a condo, on the other hand, is much more like home ownership. Here you do own the unit. You have your own mortgage, you make your own payments against that, you pay your own property taxes and so on. So it's a different kind of animal.
Okay, now how would the maintenance and upkeep work between the two differences of a co-op apartment and a condo?
Very good question. It is very different. In the case of a condo, you pay a maintenance fee, and they look after everything for you. They will shovel the walks and cut the grass or whatever. In the co-op situation, that's where you, as one of the owners of the co-op, have to do the work yourself. The work is distributed amongst all the members of the co-op, and so you may find yourself painting the corridors or cutting the grass or doing whatever these things are available. Alan Silverstein, who's written many, many books on the whole subject of home ownership and so on in Canada, he calls the co-ops the poor man's condo. And he, in effect, points out that, yes, while indeed you do have a share of this total building, you've got to be prepared to put in a lot of work on it. And really, you know, there's nothing easy about this type of home ownership.
No, it sounds like it'd be actually quite a complicated thing because you sort of always find there's somebody who won't pull their fair share of the weight, and if it seems like you're going to save a few nickels sort of going in on it, you could end up paying for it heavily in another direction.
Well, that's right. And so it's really only to fill a very specific need, and it's not the sort of thing you would do if you're interested basically in owning a residence, in owning a home.
Gordon, the next question is also about condos and comes from a viewer in Windsor.